Hey guys, alright. I guess you guys are wondering what all these bottles and all these goodies are in front of me. Well, this is my video on how you can turn this stuff, vodka, herbs, into this stuff, which is fully made and fully cured and aged Dit Da Jow. Yeah, which is kung fu medicine for iron palm. Now Dit Da Jow isn't, I'm not a super specialist on Dit Da Jow or anything like that. But I know there's people who follow my channels who do ask. There's plenty of good videos out there on YouTube. But anyone who's into iron palm eventually will probably decide to make their own Dit Da Jow, and they'll probably be wondering which is the best formula, this, that and the next thing. So I'll try and address some of the questions in this video for people who follow my channel, but I'd also say check out other good channels out there for good advice. So I'll go through some of the things and some of the do's and don'ts that I've picked up, and some of the little helpful tips and hints, which is from, you don't have to study too hard to pick up these things, but it's from a good period of time of training iron palm. I regularly say in the past that Dit Da Jow wasn't, I never really used to use Dit Da Jow because I couldn't get it, but as soon as I did get it and started being aware of it, it does make a good difference and it is worth using. So anyway, in short, just before we start the video, I've got the people at PlumDragon Herbs kindly sent me this, which is their Ancestors Advanced Iron Palm Herb Pack. So first what you do is you choose the herbs that are good for you. So I train on steel shot and rock and stuff like that, mainly steel shot and hard objects. You could call it, I wouldn't call it advanced, but it's considered the more advanced stages of iron palm training. So because of that, you have to counteract the pathologies, to counteract the effects of it. It's always good to have a strong Dit Da Jow. And like I said, the people at PlumDragon Herbs kindly supplied me with this to review and to make, and naturally I'm going to include it in my video because they gave it to me and it saves me money. So they say that this is well, if you guys go back, I did an introduction video introducing these back a few videos, but this is a very, very strong formula, so it'll be perfect. And this one is my old formula, which is a Hung Gua Dit Da Jow, which I think is level 2 or something they call it, which is strong, but it's not really meant for practice on the steel shots and things like that. So I'm told. You may wonder why I'm covering it up and why I have these brown bottles. Well, Dit Da Jow is sensitive to light, so light starts to contaminate, light starts to break it down. So all your stuff, keep it in the dark, and when you've made your Dit Da Jow, keep it in a clear bottle. See, I've just got a beer bottle, an old Guinness bottle. So I keep it in a clear, in a dark bottle, which prevents or stops some of the light getting to the Dit Da Jow. All you're going to need is, this is external, this formula, so you're going to need some vodka, lots of vodka. You're going to need 4 litres worth, or 4 litres or a gallon's worth of vodka for each herb pack, or for each set of herbs. That's the usual amount. This is an external herb, and once again, as you can see, this is all done in glass. Plastics have certain chemicals that they can leach, certain things that can come out of them, and in this kind of Dit Da Jow scene, it's not considered good to make your Dit Da Jow or store it in plastic. So you can store it in earthenware, clay, pot, any kind of earthenware, jugs or pots similar to what you could imagine it was made in the past. You can make it and store it in those, and you need it to sort of be airtight, so that's why I've got one of these. So okay, this is what it looks like after 6 months at the end. Yeah. So anyway, I'll get preparing things and we'll go on with the rest of the video. Okay guys, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, which is roughly right. I've got 5 bottles of vodka, yeah, it doesn't matter, I just get the cheapest, nastiest vodka you can get. Yeah, vodka's pretty expensive these days, but I've got 5 bottles of vodka. Now my problem is, you might have this, is here's my big demijohn of my old Dit Da Jow, but I want to make new Dit Da Jow. Now, usually what you do is when your Dit Da Jow runs out, when it's finished, so this is a tip for you, all the bits and pieces that you can see in the bottom there, you leave them in there, you add your new herbs, and you just pour more in. And the old herbs, kind of the older and longer you leave the Dit Da Jow to age, it's recognised that it gets stronger and just stronger and stronger as it ages. I don't know why, but that's the theory, that's the folklore about Dit Da Jow. So you'd leave the stuff in there. Now, my problem is that I don't have enough bottles and I need to do this video. Yeah, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to empty mine out, and this is a different formula of Dit Da Jow that we're making now. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to empty. Also, this leads you to a dilemma. Like if you're like me, it's okay to have like 5 big bottles or 5 things, but maybe you don't have space for that. Maybe you've only got space for 1. Maybe you can only afford 1 bottle. So what I do, nice and easy, is I've spent loads on all these vodka bottles, so I'm going to decant. I mean, sorry to teach you guys to suck eggs, but you know, this is common sense, but I'm going to decant my vodka out of this before I put it, you know, before I need to use it, and I'm going to use these nice bottles to store my Dit Da Jow. Now, as I said, what I do is I'll have loads of these in the cupboard, in the dark, or under the bed, or wherever, a dark place like this. I don't store this in the light. And then the bottle I use for training is this dark bottle. The Guinness was tasty, by the way. The bottle I use for training and taking places with me is this dark bottle that I then decant from the other bottles using none other than a plastic cup. Now these are a dime a dozen, because remember Dit Da Jow's poisonous, so you don't want to be using your jugs and stuff. These are a dime a dozen, these plastic cups, and the good thing is you can just bend them in the middle and they pour perfectly, yeah? Perfect pouring every time. Buy a stack of plastic cups, or you've probably got some in the kitchen. I know I've got mine in the kitchen. So I'm gonna have to find somewhere to decant the first bottle into, but I'm gonna start doing all the decanting. So here we go. I'm gonna get that in there. Here it goes, pouring. Here we go, a lovely rich texture, red. And I'll talk to you about the different smells and the colour change and what that means and how that helps you to make the Dit Da Jow and to know that it's aged. Because it's really cool, it's a natural process. You could do measurements and everything like that, but sort of like in the old times, you notice things different, you notice the odours different, you notice the density, the viscosity of the liquid becomes different as it ages. But we'll talk about that. I'm going to do some decanting and stuff, and then I'll go to the next bit of the video. Hopefully this will help you guys. Okay guys, now it's been very messy, but this is empty, yeah? And here's some of the mash inside, yeah? Now, if you ever have to transfer your Dit Da Jow like this, it's important that you preserve the mash, because there's still ingredients that are going to be breaking down. So, what I've done is I've transferred the Dit Da Jow into lots of these bottles. Yeah, I shook it up first, so they've got a nice colour, as you can probably see. Very nice colour. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 70 centilitre bottles of Dit Da Jow. So that, my friends, is a lot of money's worth of Dit Da Jow, but a lot of training's worth of Dit Da Jow. I'll put those now. As you can see, they're in glass bottles, yeah. and I want to limit their exposure to the light, so I've immediately put them in the dark. Now I wanted to show you this last bottle because very messily, now the key to transferring herbs from a thin container like this to any other thin container without a big nightmare, even if they're wet or too big, is a good old Coke top. Yeah, this is like one of the key tools I've been using. Forget a funnel, Coke bottle top, it's as wide as most bottle rims, cut it up, cut it open, and then use a good old stick and transfer pat down method like that. A bit messy, but what I've tried to do is get most of my mash and some of the resins and some of the stones and stuff from the bottom of here, and what I've done is, because I want the strength of that mixture, I want the strength, yeah, and when I use these Dit Da Jows, you know, they should be left in contact with all this mash, but I've had to transfer it, so I appreciate, guys, this is at first a bit of a transfer Dit Da Jow, then a make Dit Da Jow, but hey, you might need to transfer your Dit Da Jow. So anyway, here's a bottle, and if you can see, it's absolutely full of basically mash, all the mashed herbs. So I filled it nearly to the top with mashed herbs, and then I transferred some liquid into that bottle. So this is the super powerful bottle, if you will. And all I'll do is I'll keep this bottle with the mash in, and then I can transfer, like when I'm going to use one of those, you know, when this starts to run out, which is my training bottle, I can transfer one of those other bottles into here and basically leave them in there for a few weeks or a month or so, and I'll be doing that, you know. So this will always be my main bottle where the herbs will stay for a few weeks or whatever before I transfer them to my training bottle. Yep, cool. Anyway, that goes in the dark now because it's been in the light long enough. Cool, now the good part. So here's my bottle. Here's my bottle. I'll tell you what, I'm going to see if I can position the camera in a bit of a... And actually, no, it doesn't necessarily need to be. No. Yeah, okay. I know you've seen my stripy trousers that I'm wearing now. Okay, here's my bottle. And I really should dry it, but I've got my tube, which happily fits into the top of my demijohn. Okay? That's perfect if you've got a demijohn. If you've got those big but if you've got those big glass jars with like a seal lid like this, then that's cool too. That just makes things easier. Okay, now here's some of the herbs. These are pre-shredded already, ground, not too fine, perfect, yeah? And they're going to be made even stronger, although it's a very strong batch, by the fact that there's old herbs left in there. I don't know if these two recipes compact with each other, but most of the goodness has probably been taken out of these herbs, but it'll just add to it. Do you know what I mean? That, as far as I know, these things just add to each other. I don't know, people might get back to me and tell me this is a Mr. No-no, that I've got leftover herbs from a different formula, but I'm sure in the past, you know, they made formulas in different punnets, you know, and just kept chucking herbs in and didn't really measure them, you know, amazingly. I don't know, but anyway, for your sake, okay, my sake, this has got a little bit of mash left in the bottle, but for your sake, pretend it's empty. But personally, I don't think it matters that there's some left in, but it may do. I don't know. But anyway, so this is the Ancestors Iron Palm Dit Da Jow strong herb formula, which I'm looking forward to using, already pre-ground by PlumDragon herbs. This means they say it'll be about 3 months or so, and you'll already be able to start using it. So I'm going to open it up, and it smells very herby and grassy. It smells quite different to the other ones. If you look at the consistency of it, you can see. I know the other one had a lot of red, fine, yellow and white, yellow and red, like brush-like consistency flowers. which seem to be a key part of the formula. Now hopefully this is very dry, so hopefully it's not going to stick to everything, but anyway. Making quite a bit of dust. I don't want to breathe the dust in, and I'm a bit cheap, so this is my dust mask. Don't want to necessarily breathe the dust in, though you could just hold your breath. This is going to look silly on camera, isn't it? Safety first. So, safety first, what I'd say to you guys is probably wet it. You could wet it in the bag, maybe, first. Or get one of those little gas masky thingies. You know, just the light ones. As you can see, goes in real easy. So, I'm going to keep doing that and then I'll be back. Well, there we go guys. Okay, I'm still alive. Now, also that dust was very fine, so I'd probably suggest doing that outside. The last batch I made was just with like the raw herbs and ingredients, so it wasn't as fine as that. But I'd suggest you do that outside. Don't do what I did, do it inside. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a bit of surface wiping. And also be careful of it going in your eyes, because I do know that some of these ingredients are poisonous, so just be careful of the dust going in your eyes and stuff, but I'll be fine. I've got a bit of a bug, so I'll probably get rid of that bug for me anyway. Okay, cool. So, now, there it is in the bottom there, you can see it. Hopefully you can see it. See the mound shining away there. So, now it's a simple case of pouring in the vodka. And look how easy it goes in. You can just do it nice and quickly, and you can make sure it goes around the edges and soaks up all that. Now I know I said you know, I try to avoid plastic, but obviously I've had to put the vodka in all these plastic containers and stuff. But I'm sure it won't be any bother. Here's one I used for decanting earlier. And just wash all the herbs out of there. That's from my old mixture. Yeah, you can see it going in there. Yeah. So remember, this is 570 centiliter. So if you remember, 7 5s are 35. That's 350 centiliters. And I'm reliably informed that an American gallon is 4 litres, so that's close enough to 4 litres. I hope I'll be able to get this all in here actually. Maybe I won't. So yeah, you'll have to forgive me guys, because trying to make this in the same jug as my last formula has made the process a bit lengthy, but I'll just give my hands a quick wash. For anyone who's still listening or watching, you know me, I like to do things in full on these videos. This formula is interesting because this formula has quite a yellow, I've realised the smell, it's got quite a turmeric-y smell. It's got quite a yellow curry powder kind of. Now I know curry powders are an anti-inflammatory, but this formula's, you know, got quite a yellowy kind of feel to it and look, whereas the other one was a nice classic dark red. Maybe it'll go red. Hey, maybe it'll do a bit of both, because it's actually a mixture of 2 formulas now. Of course, go to PlumDragon Herbs. I'm sure they can answer your questions on what exactly is in this advanced Iron Palm Dit Da Jow herb pack. Okay, cool, dudes. Well, there we go. So, as usual, I'll wash out my sieve, my thing, push everything in the top. Okay, now I've just got a cork here with a bit of a bung in the top so I can check the liquid sometimes. Okay, this is the fun bit that I like doing. So on goes the cork, now it's airtight. Let's give this beast a shake. Shake up all this stuff. So like I said, these herbs being ground fine the way they are, obviously you guys know chemistry, will make the surface areas a lot finer. It means that everything can get to where it needs to go, and it'll make the whole recipe work a lot quicker. So PlumDragon herbs say it's about 3 months where you can start using it, but I'm not gonna. I might as well keep it going. And like I said, I guess we'll hear from PlumDragon herbs when they see this video whether leaving a bit of that old mash in the bottom would have made a difference. Hopefully only for the better is what I'm informed, and what's the usual practice. You know, surely it can only make it stronger. But I know it's very complicated with these herbs, and different formulas have different ingredients. But yeah, look at that, guys. That looks crazy now. Can't really see it on here, but it's got a real yellow consistency. And there's the Dit Da Jow. So I'm going to reposition myself back in my chair, and then I'll finish off. I'll just recollect my mind and finish off with a few bits and points that I forgot for anyone who's still watching. Okay guys, well there you have it. There's my haphazard video on how to make some Dit Da Jow. Expected to be messy. Actually, it's not too messy. I've cleaned up. No one would even know. A few points to address. I think I've covered most of it. But please do send me questions, and I'll try and answer them if I can, or refer you on to someone who can. Something about the consistency I've noticed with that, because it's powdered, it's already starting to turn a darker red as all the resins start to dissolve into the solution. Which is good. I'll put some high-res pictures of it up on the end of this video so you can look at it, and I'll also put them on my Iron Body Traditional Martial Arts website and on Facebook so you guys can see them there. Oh yeah, a bit about, so how do you know your Joe's sort of ready? Yeah, okay, you've got the time, but when you first make it, after a couple of weeks or whatever, when you first make it, it'll have a light red or at least the last one I made had the Hungwa one had a light red colour, and that's just some of the resins and stuff that start to go into the solution and out of the little flowers and herbs, and it had quite a sweet smell. It had a sweet sort of, I can't explain the smell, but it was like a sweet cinnamony kind of smell, because it's got cinnamon in as well. As it starts to age, and the consistency of the liquid is like the alcohol you poured in. It's very loose consistency. As it starts to age, it starts to go darker, and it starts to, after a month or two or something like that, it starts to go dark red. And you notice then gradually that the consistency, the viscosity of the liquid starts to become higher. As if it's got thicker. A bit kind of thick and milky. But obviously it's not milky. It's the resin that starts to go into solution more and more and more. The resins go in, and the resins thicken up the formula, and they make it quite thick. You can add more resin to it to make it like more thick and sticky. But obviously the amount is balanced in the formula, but that's what happens. And so when you first shake it, you just get a few bubbles on the top and they quickly dissipate. And then as it comes to the time when it's ready, 6 months down the line, couple of months down the line, you shake it and you get a nice sort of yellow, even though the liquid's red, you get like a yellow tannin brown foam on the top. which holds its shape a bit because it's the resin, how thick the resin is. You get that on the top, deep red, and then when you smell it, there's this deep sort of musky, sweet smell this time. So it's gone from a sweet smell to a musky, fermented sweet smell. And then pretty much once your Joe's exhibiting those qualities, you can start to use it. Be careful not to get it in cuts, don't get it in eyes, don't drink it, be careful with your training. And yeah, that's my 2 cents on Dit Da Jow. There's loads of places where you can buy it. PlumDragon Herbs is just one of them, and like I said, I made this because they sent me that herb pack. And also from posting my last video, if you haven't seen it, where I introduced the herb pack that they sent me, like a bit of an unboxing, I've had good comments from people saying that they've used that herb pack, and it's pretty much that strong herb pack has done them really well. Yeah, you know, so yeah, what can I say? Anyway, guys, I can't think of anything else to say about the Dit Da Jow. I hope I've covered it all. It's a simple mix and put procedure, and obviously discount the fact that I've had to empty out of one jar to pour in the other one. But hopefully, if you do need to do that, with your Dit Da Jow, then you've got a bit of a guide, which you probably would have worked out yourself in a few seconds, of how you can sort of transfer these things. But anyway, yeah. So I was doing it anyway, so I thought I might as well film it, and whatever. So everyone, have a good day. Have good training, and I hope everyone keeps healthy and everything like that. See you guys, bye.